Picture an arm wrestle. You versus an ancestor who lived 40,000 years ago. Ready? You lose, instantly, embarrassingly, but probably not for the reason you're imagining, because ancient humans were not towering, Hollywood-jacked giants. Most of them were actually shorter than you are. Forget the brutish giant from the movies. The real ancient human was compact, lean, and packed with a kind of everyday strength that would quietly embarrass almost anyone watching this. And yet, pound for pound, they would absolutely crush the average modern person, and we can prove it using their bones. Here's a fact that should genuinely rattle you. The arm bones of ordinary farming women 7,000 years ago were stronger than the arms of elite Olympic-level rowers today. Not the warriors, not the great hunters, the women grinding grain. So how strong were ancient humans, really? Were they actually superhuman, or is something stranger going on? And if they were this much tougher than us, what exactly did we trade all that strength away for? Flex something, anything, and let's get into it. Let's start with the most famous strongman of the ancient world, the Neanderthal. They weren't tall, but they were built like tanks. Barrel chests, thick, dense bones, and enormous muscle attachment points where powerful muscles once gripped. A Neanderthal's handshake would make a modern gym bro quietly cry. And we're not talking bodybuilder bulk either. This was dense, functional, working power, the kind you simply cannot fake with a few months at the gym. But here's the thing. They weren't some freak exception. Our own kind, early Homo sapiens, were also far stronger than we are now. And how could we possibly know how strong someone was tens of thousands of years after their muscles rotted away? Because bone doesn't lie. Living bone is alive. It actively thickens and reshapes itself wherever you load it hard. Stress a bone for years, and it grows denser and stronger exactly where the force lands. Which means a skeleton is basically a recording, a permanent log of how hard you used your body while you were alive. And the recordings from prehistory are staggering. The anthropologist Alison McIntosh scanned the arm bones of the Cambridge University women's rowing team. Elite athletes training twice a day, rowing 120 kilometers a week. Then she compared them to the bones of ordinary Neolithic farming women from 7,000 years ago. The ancient women won. Their arm bones were 11 to 16% stronger than the elite rowers, and nearly 30% stronger than a typical modern student's. And this was not from working out. That strength came from grinding grain by hand, on a stone, for up to 5 hours a day, every single day. It was the original arm day, except it never, ever ended. The lesson is simple and a little humbling. Ancient bodies were forged by a lifetime of relentless physical work, the kind almost nobody alive today will ever come close to. And it was not just the women. Look at almost any prehistoric skeleton, male or female, and you find the same thick, heavily muscled bones, marked by a lifetime of carrying, climbing, digging, and hauling. So if our ancestors were this strong, what on earth happened to us? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You are descended from some of the toughest bodies that ever existed, and you are probably one of the weakest humans in the entire story. And it happened shockingly recently. The scientist Habiba Churchier and her team scanned the spongy bone deep inside human joints across millions of years. Early human ancestors, hunter-gatherers, early farmers, and us. Early humans and foragers had dense, solid bone, packed tight, almost like the inside of a chimpanzee's. These were not gym-built bodies. They were use-built bodies, hardened simply by the daily grind of staying alive. Then, right around the time we invented farming and settled down in one place, something changes. Our skeletons go light, airy, almost delicate. Our lightweight skeleton, the one you're carrying right now, isn't ancient at all. It's a recent invention, the direct product of putting down the spear and picking up the plow, and eventually the office chair. Think honestly about your own day for a second. How many times did you actually lift something heavy, climb, or sprint for your life? For your ancestors, that wasn't exercise. It was every waking hour. In other words, we didn't evolve to be weaker. We sat down, less load, lighter bone. Our bodies simply stopped building the strength we stopped using. And the gap gets even wider further up the family tree. Pound for pound, a chimpanzee is roughly 1.5 times stronger than a human. Their muscle is just wired for more raw, explosive power. Our ancient ancestors sat somewhere in between. Not quite ape-strong, but a whole world away from someone who spends 8 hours a day in a chair. So the weak modern human is not a joke or an insult. It's a measurable, recent fact, and it's written right into the thinning bones of your own arms and legs. But hold on. If we just kept getting weaker, how did we conquer the entire planet instead of the chimps or the tank-like Neanderthals? Because raw strength was never actually our weapon. We made a trade, and it was a genius one. We gave up some brute power, and in exchange, we became the single greatest endurance machine on Earth. No fur, millions of sweat glands, long springy legs, and a body that can keep running for hours without overheating. A Neanderthal could overpower you in seconds, but you could follow it at a steady jog under the noon sun until it literally collapsed from heat exhaustion. That's called persistence hunting, and it is a superpower no stronger animal has. Lions quit after a short sprint. Antelope quit. You don't. You just keep coming. And out on the open plain, relentless quietly beats powerful. We also traded power for precision. That same shoulder that can fire a baseball at 100 miles an hour, it evolved for hurling spears. Humans are the only animal on Earth that can throw both hard and accurately, which quietly turned a weak, clawless ape into a deadly long-range predator. And our hands gave up some crushing grip in exchange for delicate control. The fine motor skill to nap a stone blade, stitch a seam, or thread a needle. We lost a little force, and we gained a craftsman. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, but I'd still just rather be stronger. Fair enough. Except brute strength is expensive. Big muscles burn a huge amount of calories just sitting there. Evolution quietly placed a bet that brains, stamina, and teamwork would beat raw muscle. Take a look around you. The bet paid off. So, how strong were ancient humans? Not superhuman, but forged. Every single one of them was as hard and as fit as a modern athlete, carrying bones we can barely match, for one simple reason: their entire life was the workout. There was no gym, because there was no escape from it. Every meal was paid for in muscle. And here's the part that actually matters for you. You did not inherit weak genes. You inherited those exact same bodies, built to lift, carry, climb, throw, and run for hours. The strength never disappeared. We just stopped asking for it. Your skeleton still remembers how. It is still listening for the load, that aching, wrung-out feeling you get after one single day of real physical work. For your ancestors, that wasn't a hard day. That was just being alive. So the next time you haul something heavy and feel some deep, old set of muscles wake up and answer, that's not new. That's 2 million years old, and it is still in there, waiting. This is Sketchient. Subscribe and stay curious about where we came from.